The key to success on the field and in your backyard is a comprehensive game plan. So if you're building a fence or a deck this year, trust a Turkstra coach to design, quote, or order the right materials for your project. Visit a Turkstra Lumber near you to learn more.
From the Ticats Audio Network, this is the Coach O Show with Luke Tasker.
Welcome back. It is week 19 in the CFL season. The Ticats getting ready for a game in Calgary and coming off of a big win against Sask at Tim Hortons Field last Friday. 5-10. Coach, coming off of a win, how does it feel? How's the team doing?
Yeah, winning's always fun, Luke. It's it was a hard-fought battle, and it wasn't an easy thing, but a home playoff game of sorts. And you're gonna probably never. Now that's a long time, but you're rarely ever gonna hear me complain about winning. Yeah,
absolutely. What stands out in the positive as for your team's effort in the Sask game?
Just finishing the second half. That's it. 3 phases, playing good football with the conditions. There's always the wind factor at Tim Hortons Field, and I think the defense shutting them out, the offense doing enough. I think they had a 14-play drive, ate up almost 7.5 minutes. A key punt at the end of the game to pin them deep. After, and overcoming the quote-unquote analytic odds of, losing 80+% of the time if you get a punt blocked. That just shows the character and the fight and the grit of everybody. And those are games, third down conversions. Those are things that prevented us from giving ourselves the best opportunity to win early in the year. And we've been able to learn from those experiences. And in a close to a must-win game as you could probably get, we came through.
The win a few weeks back against Winnipeg, also at Tim Hortons Field, as well as this game against Sask. In both of those, your team put together unbelievable fourth quarter drives. Both of them were actually just about 7.5 minutes, and they kind of stole the game away from Winnipeg and Sask, kind of preventing another chance for them to drive down the field. Are those drives, is it all execution? Is there something different about Tommy Condell's play calling in that situational moment in the game?
Well, I think we were able to run the ball relatively effectively. I know we did a little bit at the Winnipeg game, but last week, specifically against Saskatchewan, we were able to do that, and that's always going to, obviously if you're running the ball, the clock continues to run. So you add up all those seconds over a bunch of plays, and, you kind of get the results in the time of possession. As far as the play calling, it's probably been a little bit different than we had been in the past. We ran the ball more than we have all year and did it consistently, and nothing really changed down the stretch. And I think that there was some pretty good ball control passes where your efficiency has a chance to be extremely high and that sort of thing. And I think being in second and medium really affords you those opportunities. And I think, a lot of the times in crucial situations, we were in second and medium, at a minimum. So, so definitely there, I'd be lying if I said the play calling wasn't different. It definitely was. But it's a combination of instilling confidence also, and it starts up front. And I just thought up front on both sides of the ball, we were extremely physical. Sask was physical also, but we were extremely physical, and it showed.
I want to touch on that on the up front and the protection as well again. But before we go away from the run game, did you guys expect that going in? Did you know that Wes Hills was going to have that kind of production? Were you game planning to have such an emphasis on the run? Or as the night progressed, did you realize, hey, this is our best chance to put points on the board?
That's a good question. We definitely had a plan to go in, and we were going to get a certain amount of touches. But again, the game unfolds different, and so then you play the game within the game. But it definitely was a point of emphasis where we were going to give it a long look and see what it looked like. And we were expecting them to do the same thing. Now they switched up their game plan a little bit and went away from it and turned it in more of a drop-back game. And so we were able to rush the passer a little bit more, where, if you really study their film, they were a little bit more run-oriented. leading up to our game.
Mm-hmm.
And so, credit Jason, their coordinator, for changing it up. And we were trying to really hunker down in the box and that sort of thing. So we had to adjust from within. But, I like the way we responded.
Yeah. Wes Hills kind of coming onto the scene late in the season. Earlier in the year, we were talking about Sean Thomas Erlington, Don Jackson, sort of, and their what was sort of a 1-2 punch. Is this Wes Hills' spot now?
Yeah, I think Wes is he'll start for us again. And I kind of equate it to we feel like we have 3 outstanding backs and that are all capable, and it's kind of likened to what happened in last year when Don kind of took the reins. I think I've alluded to this before in Edmonton, and that kind of sparked him, and that was our guy down the stretch. You don't ever know what the future holds, but I can tell you that Wes will definitely be our back in Calgary, along with Erlington.
Sure. What's his? We see his physicality from the outside. He runs downhill very well. And we recognize his impact in pass protection, but can you tell us what are some of the other things that Wes Hill brings to the table? What's his energy like? Is he seems to me, I'm always smiling when we're interviewing him. He just seems like, first of all, like he genuinely likes contact. A lot of guys say I'm physical back, or want to get in the mix. It seems like he is genuine about his enjoyment for the physicality of his game, but tell us some more things about Wes Hills. What does he bring apart from just that 120 yards on the ground?
Well, I'd be the first to tell you it hasn't been easy for him. Playing second fiddle is just what it is. And, he'll be the first to tell you that I'm sure it was tough. He's itching to get on the field. He made a few appearances as a designated import or designated American, if you will, as a backup. But he wants, he's a running back. And that's what he signed his contract to be. But sometimes, in this league, you got to cut your teeth a different way. And he did that, and he was up and down off the roster. And, the one time that he was up, I'm sure his carries were somewhere around 10 or under. And, a back like that probably needs to get warmed up a little bit. So, I will just start by saying that he rode the storm out, and that's the mark of a professional. And he's a high-character guy. He works hard, and he does love contact. Mm-hmm. He definitely is bowling for bodies at times. We're kind of encouraging him to run to daylight and not darkness, and always trying to run over people. But he's a hard worker, and I'll say this: he truly loves football. He truly loves football, and I would also say that his teammates would better say, but I'd say he's an outstanding teammate. That's
great. You touched on it briefly there, but to set up the storyline of what happened on the line of scrimmage on Friday's game, week 1, months ago, Hamilton's defense recorded 1 sack against Sask, and the Sask defense got to Hamilton quarterbacks 8 times that game. And then on Friday, your defense gets 7 sacks, and while only giving up your offensive line 1 sack. How does that happen? What do you attribute that to?
Well, everybody gets the injury bug at different times, and it's also early in the year. You're figuring out your football team, and there's just all those type of variables that enter into the mix, and that's just the truth. And I think it was a baseball score at halftime, if I can remember. I think TSN was probably throwing their paper and hats. When you have something over 15 2-and-outs on both sides of the ball. I believe it was just one of those interesting games, right, where they had that home crowd, and I don't know, I think when we were out there it was something like 15-13 with 6 minutes to go or something like that in the fourth quarter, and then the wheels kind of came off. So I attribute it to being early in the year. We were banged up a little bit up front, and they were fresh. I mean, they were coming off, and I think we're a little bit more solidified now up front offensively. And I think we know a little bit better of what we have defensively up front, and they're a little banged up. And it's hard to just show up and play with, it's hard to play with your backup sometimes up here, especially on the offensive line. And I would just say that it's 2 different points in the season.
You held Sask to net offense of 229 yards, only 29 yards on the ground. You had the ball for 4.5 minutes more than them. And then on the other side, that said, it was not the passing attack that Dane Evans was hoping for, that your offense was really looking for. You made it up in the ground. Is it meaningful to you and to your team that you maybe, I think you could argue that you found a different way to win that game than the other 4 games you had won the season going in?
Absolutely. I think, like I said, like to pitch a shutout in the second half is a big deal. Mm-hmm. That builds confidence. And then obviously the offense, while we didn't light it up on the scoreboard, we were able to get in position to allow Seth 2 opportunities that he capitalized on. We're obviously trying to always put the ball in the end zone, period. And, we've been emphasizing not letting the other team in the end zone and holding them to field goals or less. And to get that accomplished, I think was a big deal. And it's kind of what needed to happen in order for us to, get the opportunity to go to Calgary in a meaningful situation.
What lingers in your mind as to corrections from the Sask game that have to be made before you head out to Calgary?
Yeah, we got to keep our head about ourselves a little bit. It's hard enough playing the other team. You don't want to play yourself. And what I mean by that is there's controllable factors, and you would know that from being around me, Luke. And, when we can control something, a ref calling a holding call or those type of things, that's football, right? But when you are taking unnecessary penalties or objectionable conduct things, and it's something we address, but you can't play for them. That's something that has to be patrolled by the teammates, and they got to pull each other out there. There's not a coach out there on the field, and they need to understand we just got to continue to put the team first and give ourselves the best opportunity. So that, and then of course, we're coaches. We're definitely happy at time and never satisfied, and we're always pushing the envelope. But I've always said this, that the perfect game's never been played, nor will it. It won't ever be. So. The perfect game hasn't been coached, and it's not going to happen either. So what we're trying to do is not make repeated mistakes.
Let's get into a fan question here, Coach. Fans, be sure you can send your questions in each week for Coach to answer on our episodes here. gameday@ticats.ca. That's the email that you can send in any questions you have. This one week, Coach, is from Tony. He says, Coach, in the post-game show, you mentioned that you needed explanations from the officials on several calls in the game. Curious to know how that works. Do you call them up, or do you have an opportunity to chat with them after the game, etc.? Good luck in Calgary, Tony.
Great question, Tony. I'll answer that in reverse order. No, we're not having any beers together after the game when there's no access to them. They are pretty open, but most of the time they're heading for the exits and whatnot. So there's a director of officiating, if you will, and so basically you can send plays in Darren Hackwood. You can send them into Darren Hackwood, and there's a board of people that will go over the plays and explain the rules and whatnot to you. And oftentimes, in all fairness, you make a call or you email about some plays, and the explanation you get let's just say it re-triggers the emotions sometimes up over again. But that's kind of the process, to be honest with you. If I'm answering you directly, Tony, it's you're able to send the plays in, and if they need to get on a phone call with further explanation and watch the plays together, they're more than willing to do that. So they're more than helpful that way. But they're, like I said, we don't coach perfect games, and they definitely don't referee perfect games, just like players don't play perfect games. So we try to help them the best we can. I know I do on the sideline every now and again.
Anything from this past game that you've been able to shed light on, or from some of the strangeness that happened on multiple occasions?
I don't know if you can get fined or anything on these shows.
I don't know either, Coach.
So, I still need a little bit more clarification on the dribble. I think it's extremely clear to some people. Mm-hmm. I'm still learning that, and I think that's okay. And it's they're calling it by what's written, and sometimes situations come up in unique fashions. I don't know if you could duplicate that play. And as far as the safety and some other things that happened, sometimes you just have to agree to disagree and move on. And that's basically what we're doing. So we always work for clarification so that we can be better coaches and actually explain it to the players about how things are being officiated. And, let's, be honest, that rule book's thick, and, there's a lot of soccer things, to be honest with you. There's some carryover there that's unique about our game and some terminology. And whether it's dated or not, it's definitely new to a lot of people. So at the end of the day, we'll control what we can control and trust that when there's big decisions like that it's been reviewed by the command center or something like that, and that they're getting it correct.
Yeah. Specifically in the kicking game, the CFL is so nuanced and so unique compared to CIS, NCAA, NFL. It's just a thing of its own, specifically in the kicking game. And there's fun tools to be used and almost like loopholes in a sense, which is kind of like this dribble kick. I mean, it's a little bit goofy at sometimes, but you can also be, you can do some really neat stuff. Jeff Reinbold was always a good, I felt, brainstormer of kind of the ways you could use and abuse the CFL kicking game rules. It's fun when you go down the rabbit hole, and YouTube you can find some craziness from years past with those kind of plays. But well, we'll see. I hopefully we can and share on the Ticats Audio Network what kind of comes in response to that, to the craziness that happened with the dribble kick situation from last week's game against Sask. We'll see what comes of it though.
Yeah, I'll wait too.
Yeah.
There's always something going.
Coach, Calgary, historically not a city that has seen much Ticat success. Why is it a tough place to play in your mind?
Well, I just think the road at times is always tough, and I think Calgary's, it's very rare when you look back when they haven't been a solid football team. I think they play, in the times I've been around, they've played 3 solid phases of football for the most part, and they've done a decent job of not beating themselves, but I can only speak for the times that I've played out there. I know we've had some 10-7 battles. We've seen some footballs slip off a tee. We've seen all kind of different things show up at times. We've seen a field goal blocked in the last minute of a game when we were going to go ahead, and so there's been some unfortunate situations, and we haven't got some bounces. I think we've played well enough to win, but we haven't won. If I could put my finger on it, I'd be sending that messaging. But, all of that has zero bearing on us going out there in 2022, on the 14th, at I guess it'll be 7:30 that time, 9:30 Eastern. So, we don't run from the facts, because that's what they are. I can't pinpoint it. I know that losing in general is no fun, and we're going to look to turn that around this week or this Friday.
What is this team for Calgary 2022? What are they doing well right now?
I think they're playing with confidence, and they're running the ball effectively, a lot like we did last week. They've got a quarterback that understands their system. I think Mayor's doing a great job. Dave's doing an outstanding job of grooming him and bringing him along, and he's not taking a lot of shots. He's not getting hit, and they're playing solid defense and special teams. And when you play 2 other solid phases, it takes a lot of pressure off of your offense. So, I think that they're kind of finding their stride, and they're in a battle themselves for to host a playoff game. So, credit them. They're doing a great job. But there's no football team out there that's flawless, and so we're going to look forward to this challenge.
Is this a day 3 travel day week, or are you guys traveling on Thursday like a normal away game?
Yeah, we're gonna go the day before, Luke, and we'll do that. So we'll have a 3-day prep week. Just finished up, day 1, and we'll knock out the other 2 days and have a day before and go out there and let it rip at Friday.
Awesome. Well, Coach, best of luck as you guys finish the prep week for Calgary. It is as close to a playoff game as you'll get short of playoffs, as will all the last 3 games be. Listeners, the Coach O Show with Luke Tasker is presented by Turkstra Lumber. Check out the project coaches at Turkstra Lumber. They can help with every part of your home renovation, including designing a deck, all the way to ordering a new front door. You can learn more at TurkstraLumber.com. And of course, be sure to send your fan questions for Coach to answer each week's show. That's at gameday@ticats.ca. Coach, thanks again, man. Looking forward to the episodes of the season, and best of luck in Calgary.
Awesome. Thanks, Luke.
Thanks.
Another episode of the Coach O Show with Luke Tasker is in the books. Let us know your thoughts. Email us at gameday@ticats.ca. Coach O and Luke are back next week to discuss the latest from the locker room. Subscribe to the Ticats Audio Network on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.